Friends, enemies, those as of yet undecided. Welcome back to the channel. You're watching Average Man Reviews, the show where I give my unprecedented, unparalleled, and unpaid opinion on a wide variety of subjects and products. Today, we have the Nerf Rival Challenger. Now this retails for $35.99 US dollars. After tax, it came out to about $38.70 from me. I picked this up from Target. As far as I'm aware, it is not currently available on Amazon, but you can get it at Target in-store and online. You can also get it at entertainmentearth.com, and I believe Walmart carries it online as well, but I'm not entirely certain. So why does it come out to almost $40? I know it retails at $35, but like I said, after tax it was 38 something, so realistically you're in it for about 40 bucks. Why is it 40 bucks? Well, it's electric. This is not the first electric rival blaster, however, this is the first electric that we've seen in this size. Most of the rival blasters have been larger, they've been more rifle size, they haven't been like an SMG or basically a big pistol like this. Now, the reason that I picked it up is because if the appearance wasn't already obvious, let's do a side-by-side here. It's essentially a Warhammer 40k bolter, which I have every intention of turning it into when I get to customizing and modding it. The only thing that throws off that appearance is this wonky magazine, which we'll get to that in due time. So, for the uninitiated, just to make sure we cover all of our bases, I mentioned that it was Rival. What is Rival? It means that it shoots the little foam balls instead of darts. So your standard Nerf blaster shoots something like this. Rival shoots these guys. These foam balls that have little dimples all over them so that they fly better. They're like miniature golf balls. So let's get to some features about this bad boy. Now you got tactical rails all over this thing. You got a rail up top for a scope or optic. You got rails on the side that you could put a flashlight or something on, and you got a rail at the bottom that you could put a foregrip or something like that. I do not currently have any real steel style tactical accessories to test it out with. However, I do have some classic Nerf in-strike style attachments that we can check and see if they fit. So, it's a little wobbly, but it does fit on there. And it barely fits on the side rail because the side rail is just really short. And I'm pretty sure and it'll fit on the bottom rail as well. So the rails are compatible with Nerf accessories. Next thing we need to examine is the barrel. If you would examine it with me for a moment, the barrel has cutouts on it that would suggest that it's compatible with Nerf in-strike style barrels. However, it is much, much too large for them to even pretend to fit on there. Now currently, as far as I'm aware, there are no rival barrel attachments, so this could suggest that in the future we will see rival barrel attachments. Hopefully. It could be that they just decided to do this because Hasbro just does stuff sometimes. So who knows? It could well be that this is just a weird design feature that they did. I don't know. So next up, we have some sling mounts on the back, so you can put like a 1-point sling on it. Or if you wanted to do a 2-point rifle style sling, we have a mount up front that moves for some reason. Doesn't affect anything, it's not a bad feature, I just don't really know why it moves. But is what it is. We have a jam door on this side that's a little hard to open. First I have to find it. There it is. Takes a little bit to open it. But that is your jam door so that you can take your finger or a screwdriver or whatever and dislodge anything that's stuck in the barrel if it jams or what have you. We do have a safety that's kind of really awkward. If you were to try to hit the safety while you're holding it normally, the human biology does not exactly conform to reaching it without adjusting your grip. However, It is not an ambidextrous safety. We have nothing on the left-hand side, which normally would mean that if you're a left-handed shooter, you're kind of screwed for being able to access the safety. However, for a left-handed shooter, it's in the perfect spot for your thumb to reach it to put it on safe. Taking it off safe still requires a little bit of work, but kind of an interesting placement. I would have preferred they put the safety right there, because if you're not putting your finger on the trigger, that's where your finger naturally rests. However, it's a Nerf blaster. Safety isn't, I don't want to say safety's not important, because I don't mean you need to just shoot yourself in the eyeball with it, but I mean literally having a safety on the blaster is not like that big of a deal. It's still a cool feature, but it's not that big of a deal. Our magazine release is right here. It's almost close enough that you can hit it with your finger. However, the magazine does not drop out when you engage that button. So the magazine release is meant to be done two-handed. And the good thing about that is when you grab the mag, it's naturally where your thumb falls. So it's a pretty good safety release position. And this brings us to the magazine. I have not loaded the magazine up yet, but according to the box, this is a 12-round magazine. This ridiculous long banana mag only holds 12 shots. Kind of crazy. And I think, frankly, that it really does not bode well with the appearance of the blaster, because it is such a thin, small magazine, and the blaster is this massive rectangle of a blaster. And what I mean by it not appearing correct is, imagine, if you will, for a moment, that this was the magazine. You see how much better that looks? Now, it is compatible with other rival magazines. This came off of, I don't remember, it might have been the Apollo, might have been something else, one of the smaller ones. That fits, doesn't really look much better. Then we have the long magazine that came off of the Pathfinder. That's not really much better either, so we'll stick with the magazine that it came with for the moment. Now, the next thing we need to address, as I mentioned earlier, it is electric. Your batteries go in right here. Take a guess at what sort of batteries it takes. Given the size of this battery bay, I would assume that it's C batteries, maybe even D batteries. You probably fit 4 of those guys in here, right? It uses AA for some reason. It takes 8 AA batteries. Why? Why? Why couldn't they just go up and put 4 C batteries in it? I don't know. But yeah, it takes 8 AA's for some reason. As far as anything else to talk about before we go and shoot this thing, the only things I can really mention, the ergonomics of the grip are good. It's definitely sized for an adult person. It's not like a kid's toy sized grip that makes it uncomfortable. It feels fine in the hand. Now, I currently have it completely unloaded. I do not have batteries in it. I don't have rounds in the magazine. And it's got a little bit of weight to it. Not so much that it's awkward and unwieldy, but enough that I noticed when I picked it up that it's heavier than a normal blaster. And I don't know what's contributing to that weight. I mean, it feels like it's pretty good build quality, so it might just be really thick plastic. I don't know. But it is noticeably a heavier blaster given the size of it. So, final thing we're going to take a look at. This is the box that it comes with. I don't really do unboxing videos when I do reviews, but I know some of y'all out there care about seeing the box, so here we go. This is the back of the box. There's not really anything super important on it. The 2 things of note that I would say, it does mention 14 and up, so we're definitely dealing with a little bit more power. It's not aimed at the kid market, it's aimed more at like the adult blaster kind of area, so they put 14 and up on it. Also, it comes with 18 rounds, but it's only a 12-round magazine. You don't typically get extra rounds or extra ammunition with any of these blasters. Usually it's like if it has a 12-round mag, you get 12 shots, no less, no more. So Interesting that they gave you some extras. Not sure why. Not mad at it. It's just kind of different than their typical MO. But yeah, without anything else to really go over, I'm going to say we take it outside and see what kind of performance we get. I guess I should probably get the blaster and not the box. I mean, we can see what kind of performance the box gives us. I don't think it's going to do very well, but we can try. So without further ado, and without it doing any further, let's step out to the firing line and see what kind of performance this gets, shall we? So here we are outside at the firing line. I've got 12 rounds loaded up and I've got 8 batteries in this thing. And now, it is much heavier. It's still not unwieldy, but it's not to the point I would really want to one-hand this thing. It's definitely going to be more of a, like an MP5 style submachine gun kind of dealio. So I have our target set up at 35 feet. We're going to see what kind of performance we get. Hopefully it's pretty good because the flywheels are really loud. Here's an example. So as you can tell, the flywheels are a little bit loud. You're probably not going to be sneaking up on anybody with this. So hopefully its performance is good because they're going to know you're coming. The element of surprise is not on your side with this blaster. Let's see what we get. So we're going to load up, give it another round. I don't want to shoot it once and say, oh, it's not that accurate. Could be it's just getting warmed up. So, load up, try again. All right, we're going to test it out and see what sort of distance we can get out of it. So we're going to move out to the other side of the yard, aim for my shed, which is about 100 feet away, see just how far these things can actually go. Not sure if the microphone's going to pick up at this distance. If not, I'll just reshoot this part. But looks like most of the shots landed by my shovel here, which is about 60 feet. They landed within a radius around 57, 58, 62, 65, like right around 60 feet seems to be its average when fired flat. I did angle some of the shots really heavily to see if they could hit the shed, and they dropped just before the shed. So even angled at like a ridiculous angle, it can only get to about 90 feet. But fired flat and hitting 60 is still pretty good. So without anything else to test, I'm going to say we step inside and talk about it, shall we? And we're back. So after action review, what do we think? It's not a bad blaster. It's got accuracy. Not so much on the consistency side. We didn't really hit the same spot on the target twice, but we did hit the target. So at 35 feet, you could absolutely hit a person-sized target. Fired flat, our maximum range was about 60 feet. Going past that, when I angled it, I mean, I was angling it like this in order to get to 90 feet. So 60 is really your maximum, like, effective range. So as far as using it in a game, I think it does have all the qualities that you could use it, but the two things you have to be aware of is, one, the magazine sticks out really far. So that is absolutely something you got to be aware of, that you don't catch it on, if you're wearing like a tactical vest or something like that, you can definitely catch this on your gear. Same way, moving around a hallway or anything, if you move it canted, you're going to hit a wall. So be aware that the magazine sticks out pretty far. And of course, the other factor is just how loud this thing is. I mean, going with electrics, it's always going to be a factor that the flywheels are going to make noise. But this is by far one of the loudest blasters I've ever had. So that is something to be aware of. Like I mentioned previously, there is no stealth factor if you're using this. Now granted, you could move around with it and wait till you see somebody, then spool it up and fire at them. Probably wouldn't be the best idea to run around with it just spooled up and ready to go the whole time, because you're going to kill the batteries. But nonetheless, as I mentioned previously, they're going to know that you're coming if you're using this. So I probably wouldn't run it in a game, because I do like to be a little sneakier. I like to outflank and be quiet with my movement. So I would probably still run a Springer. More than likely, I'd run something like the Pathfinder of the rival line, because it was really accurate. That's one thing with this, the accuracy side, is that you're not really going to use this as like a backyard clinker to shoot targets or anything. That's why I didn't set up any cans or anything like that to shoot, because we can get close, but I don't see it being a target shooting blaster. And that's fine. You know, it's obviously, by the size of it, it's not meant to be a long distance blaster. It's meant as a close quarters blaster. We can see that even down to the fact that it doesn't have like a stock attachment point. This is meant to be like a SMG close quarters kind of blaster, and I feel it could absolutely fulfill that role. So I would recommend that if all those factors are things that you're willing to deal with, I think it's a fine purchase to get. Now the price point I'm not as happy with, because like I said, after tax you're in it for about 40 bucks. So I won't say that it's not worth the price, but the price is a little bit on the heavier side. And like I mentioned before with the Pathfinder was like 25 bucks. So there are better options at cheaper prices, but that doesn't necessarily diminish the value of this blaster. It's just the price point, I think, could be a little bit lower, but it's not a complete ripoff. Also be aware, since it's electric, you got to buy batteries. So you're in it for another, I mean, it's 8 AA batteries. So that's at least probably 10, 12, 15 bucks, depending on what sort of batteries you get. So again, price point, not amazing, but not terrible either. So overall, I give it a stamp of approval. It's a moderately performing close quarters blaster that looks really cool. So without anything else, I would say it's time to end our little review here. So thank you for sticking with me to the end. I hope to see you in the next one. And also, the next one I'm going to have something pretty cool. So the next blaster that I'm doing is not going to be a review. It's going to be a paint job and modding video. I'm making a Halo Covenant Carbine. I mixed the appearances from Halo 2 and Halo 3. It looks a little something like this. So if you're interested in seeing how I made this, that will be the next video. This is actually the Alpha Hawk from the AccuStrike line that is inside of this. You can see I haven't fully painted the other side, but that's where the priming handle is. So it's still fully functional, because that's always the question people ask with my Nerf mods is it cosplay or is it fully functional? Well, I tend to do both. So if you're interested in seeing the whole build and paint job process for this, tune in. I try to put up videos every 2 weeks. Once in a while I end up doing about 3 weeks, but I try to do every 2 weeks. So without anything else to really go over, I think that's where we're going to end it. So until next time, Average Man Reviews, signing off.